back. Here we are. Riffing while black. This is Dr. Kazike Prince with my good friend Dr. Lawrence James. I still gotta look at your nameplate so I get your name right. I'll go Dr.
Look,
James Lawrence.
right? You and like 90% of the world. I was like, although, fair talk, I ain't actually had to cuss nobody out about calling me James Lawrence in like about 3 weeks. So
Oh, just 3 weeks.
probably, yeah, cool. I was in Asia for 3 weeks or almost 3 weeks. So I think that's why, they was like, we don't know
Oh,
your name at
okay.
all. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Like, this
So
week is
how
still
was it?
young
How
though.
was the trip,
Somebody,
man? How was the trip though? It was pretty awesome to hear
I'm,
you down there doing
it
your
was
thing.
amazing. Although I'm not sure I can really say this on the podcast, but I'm gonna say it. So trip was wonderful. Got to spend time with my moms, which was super cool. Um, but between the Philippines, Thailand, and a little bit of Malaysia, I got hit on by more prostitutes and ladyboy prostitutes than is fair for any human being anywhere in life.
It's worse than Vegas.
Oh my God. Like, there's no comparison. I mean, like, literally, okay, I'm gonna just tell the story and then we're gonna get into the serious topics. So, picture this. It's 5:30 in the morning,
In the morning.
and I leave in the morning because I leave the hotel because I need to go to an ATM to get some money for the day of activities on this tour. 5:30. Now it's already damn near 90 degrees, so there's that. Sun's not really up. I take a quick look outside my hotel, and there are three lady boys. And they're like, do you want to date? Or something similar to that.
Hmm.
I'm like, and here's what's in my mind. No, I don't want to date. Lady boy or otherwise, I don't want to date. But I'm like, who in the hell is looking for a date at 5:30 in the morning? That's what I couldn't get past. I'm not offended that you asked me if I wanted to get some. I'm offended that it's 5:30 in the effing morning and you are asking me if I want to get some sex. I was like, hell no, I don't want no sex at 5:30 in the morning. I want the ATM. Ma'am, can you help
you
me find
know,
the ATM?
there's some ex-girlfriends and
Insane.
ex-wives feeling the same way as you.
All over America. Like Negro, why the fuck you waking me up at 4:35 talking about you want to get some? I get it. Ladies, I get it. I'm
Go back to
like,
sleep.
absolutely get it. Go back to sleep. Leave me alone. I want to go back to sleep. So
I
so
had
most of
her.
my trip honestly was scarred by like being accosted by prostitutes everywhere. I mean, I actually did like have 8 ounce of what I think women go through on a daily basis. Cause I was like, I got gunshot an ounce, and it's an ounce at best. I was like, oh my God, I don't even want to leave the hotel. Cause I'm like, every time I leave, I'm like, it's a gauntlet of prostitutes. You want to get some? No. I'm like, I mean, one little lady in Malaysia, I'm like, she's like, I got a massage. She's like, happy ending? Happy ending? I was like, oh my God. I was like, how blatant can we be? So yeah, it was a little insane. And then there were beautiful cultural attractions that one should see, like the
Right.
Great Temple in Bangkok. But I was scarred by all the, prostitution solicitation. So there you go.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's a good insight because I imagine there are plenty of people, women in particular, who don't go out, who don't go out there in the world as far as dating is concerned or meeting people because it may not be quite what you described, but still it's still like an onslaught, right? It's
it's
people
it's
making
not 45 prostitutes
comments.
in like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
which
You
explains a
know,
lot for some people.
it does. And I think, I mean, not that I actually do this, but it did, I think it made me much more cognizant, hopefully, than even I was about like, what is your behavior and how are you engaging with people? Because I was like, you know, that I mean, I had the experience of, man, that unwanted attention is really unwanted. Um, and check yourself,
Mhm.
in terms of how you're showing up in the world, how you're
Yeah,
engaging,
yeah.
be
Because
cognizant of it. So,
as a guy, you're not thinking that you're the thousandth person who's come up to her and said "hala hala."
Right,
whatever creative
exactly.
means that
Right.
you, hello, you're beautiful, and
Right,
I just wanted to get
exactly.
to meet you, and can I have your
Right.
number? I mean, all the time.
All other that. Yep. Yep. Yep.
You're
You
like,
telling your
I just shoot
story
my
and you're
shot.
like,
This is my
I'm gonna
chance.
shoot my shot. Right, right. And she like, you're one of 1,000 men who already approached me. And I'm so over it.
No doubt.
Like, I just want to go to work. Like, that's it. I just want to get to my
I just,
job.
I want to go to the stove. I
I
want to go
want
to
to
the
go to the
ATM.
stove.
Hence
So
why I know
yeah.
some women show up intentionally at the grocery store and other places with their whole outfit looking kind of toe up a little bit
Right,
intentionally.
exactly.
Because like
Intentionally,
I don't
right.
want to bring any
Hoping.
attention to myself. Clothes are
Exactly.
baggy, hair's
Right.
not done or it's covered. I'm not making any eye contact with
Right.
anybody.
Nothing. Right. Head down. Right. Exactly.
If I could
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
order and have it delivered, even better.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
not mad.
Maybe that was
No,
the
but
secret on an ATM. I should have just ordered up some cash. I'm like, can you just bring me some money? I'm like,
bring me some money.
bring me
Bring
some
me some
money.
money.
I don't need the prostitution thing. So
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Sorry you had that experience, but it's
it
unfortunate or
was a
unfortunately
time,
enough.
KP. It was a
Yeah.
time. I don't know how good it was, but it was a time.
Well, I assume we had a good time with your mom.
Yeah, she was dope. She was super cool. Super cool. So,
Well, I think this. Well, let's cover our topics and then we'll do our engagement card for today.
all right.
Our topics. Our side eye is talking about Todd Blanche. And his going for folks who don't know, he's going currently right now through the whole process to be approved to be the attorney general, which makes him head of the Department of Justice. And for folks who don't know, he used to be the personal lawyer of Donald Trump. And we'll get into all that, but that's our side eye for today. The other topics that we wanted to talk about was the World Cup, which is coming up. We just had two
Mm,
semifinal games, and we'll get into all that. But a related topic is about Argentina and their reputation for being racist, not just their team, but the
racist.
country as a whole. There's this legacy of racism.
Super racist.
And then lastly, we might touch this one as a lead into the side eye. Today, for folks who are paying attention, the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, most really are women, but also include, I think, some men, I think. But the point is, they're testifying about their experiences and how they were treated by the DOJ, the Department of Justice, when their personal information was put out there when they released the files. And so, wanted to just get into that a little bit as we lead into the side eye. But that's our topics of today. So let's go straight to the djembe card. We're going to go the engagement cards, and this one for today is to me, safety feels like blank. Safety feels to me like blank. What does it feel like to you?
Not having 8,000 prostitutes hitting on me as soon as I walk out of a hotel.
Like, please. You have to strategize. You're like, oh, here they come.
Dude,
You already know
I ain't
they're out
lying.
there, right? You already know they're out
Dude,
there. You're not
I
surprised.
was like, they're out there. Yeah, I mean, I, I think there is something. I mean, not just clowning about it. Something about safety of just being. Safety feels like being able to kind of be in my own skin in my own space, um,
Mm,
without being bothered. And I put it in the realm of sort of the sexual stuff
mhm,
in Asia, but if I bring it back to being in the U.S., it's probably more around pieces of racism, and
mhm,
just kind of being able to show up and just be my authentic self and
mhm,
not really being concerned about who may be offended or impacted by
mhm.
that, kind of piece. And so I think, yeah, it's just some of it's just being able to feel like I can be myself wherever I'm at.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, when you said that, it made me think about. I was writing recently a blog about my mom and how even though she was being courageous, she didn't call it being courageous. She just was living
Mm,
life, right?
hmm.
But when I think about what makes me feel safe is that one of the things she did after my parents had divorced, she just created a sense of being at home. cooking good food, and it wasn't like a whole spectacular, thing.
Gotcha.
It wasn't going to amusement
Hmm.
parks and all that stuff. It was just coming home and having a house that felt like home, and feeling at home is one of my things that makes me feel safe. And that's really important to me. So whether I come home now in my life, or what I reflect about my growing up at home, those are the places I feel safe, because I like get to be myself and relax, and let my hair down, and or what's
Yeah.
left of
Right there. I hear you.
it.
Are you able, just interesting to me, are you able to create that sense of safety, like, for example, if you're traveling or something like that, are you able to create that for yourself?
Yeah, it's not always easy because I think I am conscious, especially if I'm in a country where I don't speak the language quite as well as others. So I noticed that I had some anxiety when I was in Brazil, because I was like, even though plenty of people speak English there, I still
Yep.
had anxiety about who I was going to run into, and I tended to
Hmm.
gravitate towards people who did speak English or demonstrated it. But it subsided my anxiety, because the longer I was there, the more I saw people who looked just like me,
Mm,
and I was and people left me alone. I mean, for the most part,
yeah.
I was on the beach, and people were trying to sell stuff to me, but for the most
Right.
part, I would just sit there and chill, and once they knew I was American, I maybe got a little bit more attention, but it was slight, not
Right.
nothing, because it was a touristy
Major.
town,
Yeah,
Rio
yeah,
de
yeah,
Janeiro. They get all folks off.
yeah.
And so after like probably a day or two, I was probably like, man, I can make this my home.
Mm,
you know,
mm.
but that's just because I have a bias towards sun and beaches and nice people.
Nice
Well,
people helps a
cool.
lot.
Yeah, it does. It does. Let's jump into this World Cup thing. And for folks who may not have been paying attention, which it's hard for me to imagine, but I've been running into a few folks who have not been paying attention because they're just not into this.
Yeah.
But I think this time around, more Americans have been watching the World Cup than ever before. I
They
think more
set a
than the
bunch of
Super Bowl.
records.
Yeah, more than the Super Bowl, more than other sporting events, which are usually the biggest. And what's been nice is seeing people from all over the globe coming into our country, Mexico, Canada, doing their thing. But now we're at the semifinals that just had happened. France lost to Spain. Unfortunately, I was going for France, kind of hard,
Heartbreaking.
but Spain made them look like stepchild, and then Argentina came from behind to beat England. And I don't know. I just it's been a little stressful. Speaking of feeling safe, it's been stressful watching all the teams I want to win lose. And I don't know. What's your experience been up to this point?
Well, I mean, honestly, I texted an English friend of mine yesterday. I said, I feel pretty heartbroken. I was like, these have been two really bad days. France lost, um, England lost, some racist ass Argentinians. I was like, man, I just can't. I was like, now I'm like, and of course, there's this weird thing in Argentina because they seem to think that they're like European, and they're either Spanish or Italian. So I thought, okay, so in their mind, Spain is playing Spain in the final. I'm like, that's some BS. Um, but it's what this the sad part has been. Well, not sad. It's been a great tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If you like football, it's been a great tournament.
Mm-hmm.
African teams showed up. I mean, they played incredibly well. So there's a lot of really positive things to take out of it. Unfortunately for me, which kind of built into our topic, the specter of Argentina throughout the tournament has been there for me personally. Just kind of feeling uh, inundated with the racialized history in the
Mm-hmm.
country,
Mm-hmm.
and frankly, the behavior of Argentinian fans and players to
Mm-hmm.
kind of perpetuate a lot of the racist kind of behaviors um, has tarnished some of it in the sense that FIFA has, created an avenue uh, to get Messi at all to the finals. Pretty easy road. Um, Lots of calls that weren't made. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
calls that were made that advantaged them. So the
Mm-hmm.
sense of fairness, I think that's been one of the taints. And frankly, and I'll go back even to the stuff that Trump did to
Yes.
allow Balogun to play for the U.S. Kind of has tainted
Mm-hmm.
the tournament. What has
Mm-hmm.
been brilliant football on the pitch has tainted it, because you see like sort of geopolitics,
Right.
which
Right.
always is there, including in the Olympics and so forth. The geopolitics being a part of the conversation, maybe more than in past tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
has
Yeah.
really kind of negatively colored a lot of it. And my
Yeah.
boys from France lost, so there's that.
Well, and then you're right, because I think, this isn't the first time we've had the World Cup here. It's been a number of years. And I think this time around, with how, Trump kind of tries to take the stage and make things about him instead of about the players and the people's love of the game, it ends up
Right.
being more about him because of the decisions that he makes. And, he kind of just cavalierly kind of walks in the room like, yeah, I saw it. And I think it wasn't fair. And I'm like, so what? No one asked you what you thought, bruh. Just sit back. And like the rest of us would be frustrated or whatever it is. And he and
Right.
an old dude came out and said, "Yeah, you messed it up for us, bro. You
Mm.
seriously messed this up for us." And I think, back to your comments about Argentina, let's go with what they say. They're Europeans, right? But you see other teams who are from Europe, whether it be Norway, the Switzerland. You don't see their players behaving poorly as you have heard and seen with Argentinian fans or their players or the legacy. So you can go into the colonization that each of these European countries participated, whether it be France or whoever, right?
Mhm.
But on
Absolutely.
the ground, when you see their players, you see their fans. I mean, the Norway team apparently took their winnings and donated to the Palestinian cause.
I saw that. That
To
was pretty cool.
and so it's not, so it ends up being less a white black culture Europe thing. It's
Yeah.
more about how their behavior is a reflection of a
Yeah.
problem. And
Hmm.
despite, they might have some genetic, whatever, historical kind of similarities, the way they're behaving and showing themselves as players just doesn't speak well and doesn't represent, I think, the best that I imagine Argentina actually could represent, because there's a whole other group of folks saying, yeah, all of that stuff is true, but we ain't all bad.
We ain't all bad. Right. Right.
And so it's
Yeah.
it's hard to watch.
It is hard to watch, and I think to your point about sort of the behavior being really poor. I saw something this morning that after beating England, the Argentinian players were behind a flag that basically said something like, you know, um, "We beat you and we own the Falklands" or something like that,
Oh
harking
yeah.
back to the
Yeah.
Falklands War
Yeah. Yeah.
with the English. A- and frankly, if you'd asked me way back in the day, I would have been pro Argentina on the Falklands question. Um, but this, it just, given everything else, it just felt like really in bad taste, um, and it seemed to perpetuate an image of this team and its players, as being tone deaf. I mean, uh, what's his name? Is it Enzo Fernandez? Um, you know, after they won the last time, he's on video, and the team's on video making monkey chants about the
Yes.
French team.
Yes.
So there's a whole subplot in history of uh, just kind of egregious and inappropriate behavior on the part of the players, and then you add the fans,
Mhm.
making monkey chants. And again, and to your point, look, let's struggle not to make a broad brushstroke of all Argentinians are this way, and yet how they are showing up in the world is pretty pathetic. And frankly, if I had to flip that and talk about America in this case, um, how America showed up in the tournament was pretty poor. Starting with the president of this country, and so I think there's instances where um, you're on a world stage, and how you behave. I mean, we always talk about you're representative of your nation.
Mhm.
So how you show up and how you behave, I mean, it does have impacts on the image, just like, you know, we love, I mean, the image that always sticks with me in international events now is of the Japanese fans cleaning up stadiums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you're like, I always go, wow,
Yeah.
that says something to me really positive
Mhm.
about the
Mhm.
culture,
Yeah.
a level of caring and concern and consideration, um, that you're like, wow, that's
Yeah.
super impressive, right?
It's super impressive, and just to highlight for folks who may are not aware, You had one of the best known referees out of Somalia not allowed to come into the country. He had I think it was the Iranian team. They came to the States, played their game, and then they weren't welcome
They have
to
to get on the plane.
stay.
Right. They
And so
couldn't
they
stay
had to
in the
get on the plane
US.
and
They
go
have
to
to go back to
Tijuana,
Mexico.
go
Hmm.
back to Mexico. And so there was a series of incidents, and then just some of the harassment some people had. There was worries about people even just getting into the country, having to pay certain fees. I mean, there was just all this rigmarole. That's my favorite word, rigmarole, for folks just to enjoy a sport,
Yeah.
which was intended to be here to rate to basically allow us to make money, right?
Yep.
And here we are going through more rigmarole, more barriers,
Hmm.
so people can enjoy their time here. And then you look at the comparison to like Canada and Mexico, totally different, you
Totally
know.
different
And
experiences. Yeah.
some people might say, well, we're in an active conflict with Iran. Why would you expect anything different? I said, well, we started a war with Iran. So yeah, I feel like we
Number one.
should have, and this isn't the first time we have been in a conflict and we've gone somewhere for sport. I mean, there was a conflict with Germany, and we sent our American players to compete in Germany when Hitler was in power,
In power.
killing
Hmm.
people. Right, but
Right.
we went to represent what we thought was the best of America, and we sent
Hmm.
Jesse Owens and a bunch of other
Right.
folks because we thought we were
Right.
better. And so, to
Hmm.
me, sports has always been political. I can't imagine it not being political, despite what people say that you shouldn't bring politics into sports. And I'm like, no, it's always been political.
It's always been there. It is always a part of a conversation. I mean, even if it just gets to the pieces of, the extreme, nationalism that, teams exert, display, in those environments. It's like it's there,
Yeah, it's there.
But if you watch stuff and you're like, oh, you know, and again, 48 teams that were a part of this World Cup are, those teams are not absolutely emblematic of the nations, but they give you some sense of the nation, the care, the concern, how people show up. Norway rowing, I'm like Viking power. I'm like, I was like, that's actually pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and what I loved about that and the Japanese fans is the unity.
Yes.
Um, that these teams were showing. I mean, the love for Cabo Verde. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there are lots
Respect.
of great positive, yeah, and then you juxtapose that to the behavior of Argentinian fans and players, and you're like, yeah, by comparison, you're pretty shitty.
Yeah,
You're pretty shitty.
and just to tease that out a little bit more about Argentina, just to focus on that a little bit, is when their players were saying awful things like on the field,
Mhm.
or when people in public were being called out and asked to be held accountable, particularly when it came to the players who were singing and celebrating against their based on their win. I think it was Minister of Sport was going to sanction them and make them apologize. The president of Argentina at that time intervened and fired that minister. And so to
Mm,
this day, none of the Argentinian players, including Messi, have ever apologized for them doing
mhm.
what they did back then.
Yeah.
And so to
Mm,
me, it's like it's more than just you know, because again, we have a lot of colonizers who are participating in this series, right? But I
mm,
can tell you this: when I went through the process of figuring out who I was going to go for, I was kind of favoring the U.S. to win because I said, "Oh, look at the
mhm,
brother from England who got his
mm.
citizenship
Right.
on
Yeah, the
accident."
English,
Oh,
the English dude. Right.
yes, and they were playing pretty good, but then here comes Trump, messes things up. And so this is my logic. I said, okay, we got colonizers against the colonized. So I tend to favor
That's
the
true.
colonized, right? And then if I had two colonizers together, I needed to know the reputation of the players. And of the
Right.
players, were there people of color who were on those teams,
Mhm.
like France and other,
Yeah.
like when Mexico had the brother,
Mhm.
what was his name?
Oh,
He's
Quinones,
from
I think.
Colombia, but he's a Mexican player. I forget his name.
Yeah,
It's not
I think it's
Espinosa.
Quinones.
Yeah, Quinones. Yes.
Yes.
I was like, all right. Again,
Mhm.
not colonizers, bringing the brother on the team,
My brother,
and, and and
you
and then what's cool about it is it now became a conversation about the presence of African culture in Mexico, which
in
people are
Mexico,
totally
right?
unaware of, right? And
Yep.
so that was kind of
Yep.
my, logic and rationale. So when we got down
Hmm.
to just the European teams, with the exception of course,
Hmm.
Argentina, I was like,
Hmm.
all right, which one of these teams have more black people? Because England, lots of black people. And I didn't even know
Lots.
I didn't go for England until they went against Argentina.
Argentina, right? Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it was France against Spain, again, two colonizers. But I was like, well, look at all them brothers of France. And let's talk about France dropping the ball. Like somehow Spain has their number, or like we know how to beat them. Be boring and
Yeah.
slow.
Be boring. Oh my God, it was such a painful game to watch. I mean, it was the worst France played, and at some level, you got to give credit to the Spanish. But the the French tactics for that match were absolutely horrendous. I mean, I was like, "What are y'all doing?" I'm
They didn't
like,
seem as
you're,
aggressive as they've been in the
they
past.
weren't as
Was that
aggressive. They
was
kept making these 25-yard passes into the heart of the defense. I'm like, and they never, you and I will talk about business and strategy. I was like, did you not realize after 20 minutes that your strategy sucked and you needed to change?
trash.
It was trash.
But
And
they were playing
at
different than they
45,
had played
they
all
did.
up to this point. Like they got
Exactly.
nervous, like they knew they were going to
Yeah.
be dealing with the bully and the
Yes.
playground, and they're like, "Well, okay, we did all this to beat all the other kids up,
Hmm.
but now we're
Right.
going to play the big bully." And we're like,
Right.
"Oh, I don't know if we should do that." And it's
They
like
played
they
scared.
different.
Yeah. And they didn't play, they played different. You're absolutely right. They played differently than they had the whole tournament. Um, and they looked off, they felt off. I mean, first touches were terrible. It was just it was painful to watch. I'm like, if they had played reasonably well and got beat, I'd be like, okay,
They like it.
you got beat by a better team. But when you came out and you played like absolute ass, you know,
You
I was
played
like,
booty. You played
I
booty.
was like, you play booty, right? I was like,
Booty.
I was like, could you be more booty right now? I was like, oh my God, like 5 minutes in, I'm texting my boy. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? I was like, they showed up like they didn't. I'm like, these boys didn't come to play. I'm like, come on now, drove me
Okay,
nuts.
but let's talk about England, because I'll full disclosure, I hadn't gone for England the whole tournament, right? Because they were going against all these other teams I was favoring,
Right.
but I saw that they're pretty good. They I was also, because who's the main guy from England who went and had played golf with Trump? What's his name? Graham
Oh, Harry Kane. Harry Kane.
Payne.
Harry Kane.
So I was
Yeah.
like, he can kick
That
rocks. I don't
right.
care,
That
right?
put them on the shit list,
Right.
Right.
But then my boy, who's one of my friends here, he's from the UK, and he's been traveling, literally going to see all their matches, right?
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so now I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to support my boy and his team, and let's see. And then England gets ahead, right?
Yeah.
It was the second half. They hit scored
Yeah.
early in the second
Yep.
half, and
Hmm.
then, like the French, they decided that we're gonna go straight defense.
Inexplicably. I'm like, do you know who you're playing?
Oh, that was
Have
so
you watched
disappointing.
every game that Argentina has played? They've been down in every game basically,
Yes.
and they've come back with goals in the 86th minute. I'm like, what are you
Belgium,
doing?
Congo,
Thomas
or
Tuchel.
Senegal. I forget which one of
No,
those
France
teams.
played Senegal.
It must have been Congo.
The
Yeah.
Switzerland, they were down to Switzerland. They were down to Egypt.
Yes, Egypt.
Um,
Egypt. Yeah.
Egypt 4-1. Yeah, right. They
Yeah.
cheated them to get that win against
I
Egypt.
mean, that's a whole nother story.
Right. Exactly. Like, don't get me
which
started.
which is part of the whole, I think, frustration. I mean,
Yeah.
you got the president of FIFA going for
For a
Argentina,
team.
and
Right.
I get it. I get it. I mean, maybe that's his team. I don't know, but I would feel like as president, you
But
have to take a more
I don't
neutral.
think bro man is I don't think he's Argentinian. I mean, if he was Argentinian, I'd be like, okay, I get it. But I don't
Maybe
think he's Argentinian.
what is he? Is he Italian or something?
In my
I don't know.
mind, he's Italian, but I don't know. But I'm like, but again, to your point, that's like Adam Silver in the NBA being like, I'm a root for the San Antonio Spurs to win the whole damn thing.
Well, okay. Some people feel like that has, because he was about Wimby. He was all about the Wimby life, trying to promote him. But I don't think he
And
ever
he should be.
demonstrated that during the series.
Now, he didn't say anything, and I'm probably secretly, because he's from New York. I'm like secretly he's probably a Knicks fan.
Right? You're
But
like, oh,
you
Knicks.
would, but again, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, it's like, you're supposed, as a commissioner, you're kind of supposed to be neutral.
I mean, let's be clear. It's we have to acknowledge Nick's greatness because being the
I don't know
Cowboys of
about
the
all that. Let's not
NBA,
let's not let's not go
the
that far. Let's
Cowboys
not go
of the
that far.
NBA.
The Cowboys. Oh, you mean should have won something but never do?
Since
That's true.
1973.
1973. By the way, my favorite basketball team of all time, but I'll let that go.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, I don't know. I agree with you in so many ways about this tournament being really fun. I got to watch several games with friends. Unlike we're doing right now, having conversation about it. Even people who I know, who I've talked to, who don't even watch the series, just having conversation with them about what they've seen or not seen or why they're not involved. It's been nice. What's the challenge is that we're about to have the final on Sunday, and then we'll have nothing to talk about.
I know. I know. We in the in between. We're in baseball land. Like, how boring is that? Like,
I'm having a
okay,
hard
who
time.
cares? Who
And
cares?
baseball, that championship's not until like months away from now.
Right. I'm like, it's
We got
October. I'm
football.
like, half the football season's over. I'm like, why are we still talking about baseball? Like, it's football season.
Who's
But yeah,
playing?
right, exactly. Yeah, we're in the dog days of sporting summer as far as I'm concerned after this. So I was like,
Which is not usually like most summers. I am curious about when the women's World Cup will be for football, for soccer.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Is that in
I
two
think it's
years?
for in my mind, it's like every other, yeah, it's like they're on the in between years. So it's like
Yeah.
there's only a 2 year gap between.
Well, I was kind of feeling like
Now
it was
that's
going
one
to be
time that
that
I
way.
actually do root for the US team because
Oh
they're
yeah, well they're good, so they win.
right. They actually deserve to be up at the top because they're actually got talented players.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they're winning, and I mean, and the good thing about the women players, the women U.S. players, that they've advocated for equitable pay,
Yes.
and then across the entire, FIFA system. What's been funny is that how other countries are like, nah, we ain't doing that. I'm like, wait a minute, hold
Mhm.
up. But
Right.
they apparently have been quite successful. It's just, some countries have been dragging their feet,
Yeah,
as would be
exactly.
expected.
Mhm.
But
Not surprised.
I don't know. I'm excited, and I'm going to try to watch at least the championship. I think the France and England will play on Saturday, and
Yes.
then Argentina
As a
and
football
Spain.
match, I'm more interested in France England. But I'm gonna try to watch, the Spaniards playing the Spaniards. I'm gonna
Spaniards,
try.
the Spaniard Italian team against the
That's
Spaniards
right.
and North
Exactly. Yeah.
Africans.
That's right. Exactly. 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 I'm
we
going for the
got
team with the
we got
Moorish. I am going for the team with the Moorish influence, though.
we got Iberia and the Moorish team
Right.
against the Italians, the
The
Southern
Italians.
Italians and
Right.
Southern Spanish. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So fun. So fun. I
It should
so
be
want to see
fun. It
that.
should be fun. Well, hey, let's transition to our side eye because we kind of got into this a little bit, but with the time that we had, today, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of folks who have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and his, basically child slavery, sex ring, or have been testifying about, So we had all the stuff with Epstein, the files, not all, but most of the files have been released. And when they released them, the person who was responsible for this, Todd Blanche, who's now the temporary, whatever the right term is, Attorney General,
Yeah.
released the
Acting
personal
attorney general.
information. Yeah, intern. He's the released their names, their images, their personal information like telephone numbers, former
Yeah.
addresses, out to the public.
Hmm.
And it's like somehow it was some kind of mistake of some sort. I'm like, that's not the kind of mistake you make in this kind of situation. If anything, it seems like it was punishment for those individuals for even speaking up. And one of the women who, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but I don't know if it was her lawyer was speaking on her behalf, saying, okay, you release the files, you release all this personal information, but now not just do my employer have access to it, my family, my children,
Kids.
everybody out there and their mama has access to the things that happen to me, but on top of that, the personal information about me. And on top of that, you don't know only person who's been persecuted in the United States is old girl, the assistant.
Right.
What's her name?
Ghislaine
Um,
Maxwell.
yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the only person. All of this.
Mhm. Right.
We're not even talking about convictions. We're talking about
Right.
prosecutions
Prosecutions.
based
Yeah.
on the evidence that's been provided.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, oh my God, is insane, man. I just
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's demoralizing. I can't imagine what it's like for the survivors to be watching this whole
Mhm.
thing kind of be in development and still. I mean, there's been a book that's put out by a woman who unfortunately she died by suicide, but she put out a book detailing her personal experience, but also the experience of others. Um, and now the challenge is that people, how much of this is going to hold up in court. I said, I don't know. That's not the point. The point is we should be giving people opportunity to have their day in court for crimes
Yeah.
that they believe have been committed against them, not just by Epstein, but others who are
Mhm.
connected to him.
Others.
And I think that's really the struggle here. And this is after Trump and others, I mean, other MAGA folks have been touting the importance of putting the files out there so
Yeah.
these crazy folks can be prosecuted. But now we're like still hemming and hawing and
Yeah.
just going again, the rigmarole is
Right.
real.
Right. Right. Slow walking it. Um, uh, and again, to your point, I mean, the whole thing with Todd Blanche seemed to be you're protecting your boss, Donald Trump, because his name, is in the files. You explicitly look to see where he was named and what ways he was named. Seem to selectively push out documentation. Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like any documents that actually have anything to do or list his name in them have been released. It's like a whole bunch of
Very
other folks. And I
limited.
may be wrong around that, but so it's like that feels like that's purposeful to your earlier point, releasing these women's names and all their information seem purposeful. So it, it pushes you to lose trust in what the system is attempting to do. And again, and on top of it, we're not giving these women the opportunity to tell their story. So I mean, I'm excited that they get to go before Congress and speak their piece, even though it's not a criminal case, it's not a civil case, but they have an opportunity to go on the record, not only about what happened to them in the Epstein orbit, but now what's happened to them, in terms of how our judicial system um, has treated them. I think that that's critically important because we are seeing some. We're not living up to our ideals, I guess I'd say, in terms of the behavior. Um, but frankly, that seems to be a hallmark of the Trump administration.
Well, and the thing
Um,
is, what you hear in response is, well, we've done more to release records than any other administration. No other administration has legally been allowed to release information. So they can talk about Biden if they want to, and others, and
mhm,
say. But the truth is, this is the only administration that was actually given a directive by
yeah, to do
Congress
it.
to release this information because before that they were not able to release the information
Right.
for a number of legal reasons.
Mhm.
And so, and I guess for me, I feel like all of this is a distraction from focusing
Yes.
on the needs of the survivors who have real stories, who have real lived experience, who have some horrors and things that
Yeah.
happened when they were children. We're not even
Mhm.
talking about adults, we're talking about children. And then on top of that, just the other people who were part of Epstein's orbit who have not been held accountable. Now, in other countries, you're seeing it. People,
Right.
whether it's just socially they're losing graces or there's some criminal charges against some folks.
Mhm.
I mean, you had one of the former princes of England who
Yeah.
lost his
Prince
title
Andrew.
because of,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
and so to see none of those things happening in our country is really despicable. If you don't mind, I'm going to transition to Todd Blanche because this is why he gets the
Mhm.
side eye.
Yeah, it's just it. Yep.
Here's the dude who wants to be the AG, who, when asked about, "Are you Trump's lawyer?" he's like, "Yes." Well, my bad. No,
No.
and has come out and said, "I love him. He's my man." I'm like,
Right. Crazy. Well, and again, you're lying about your relationship. And again, I mean, I watch a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, if I can get past the substance of the behavior, I'm like, the bottom line is, do I really want the head of the Justice Department to be a bald faced liar? and you're lying about something that isn't even particularly important.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
like,
did
it's a
Trump
statement
win
of
the
of a fact, right?
right?
Did Trump win the
Did Trump
election?
win or not?
Right.
They don't want to
And you're
answer that
doing it
question.
because you want to answer the question because you're like you're afraid of what he's going to do to you, because you didn't, run the party line. And I think that sort of obfuscation of the legal system is was really problematic to me, um, and especially so in the form of somebody who's supposed to be uh, helping to, mete out justice in the
Yes,
country. And I was
justice.
like,
That's his
well, damn,
job.
if
Justice.
right, this is your job, and you know, and you flat out are standing here lying and bald faced lying in people's faces, and like, and then you wonder why people don't trust the system.
Right. And well, which they
Um,
don't care about, right? They don't care about whether people
no,
trust the system. What they
no,
care about is protecting and meeting the needs of Trump and his friends
right,
and his ilk. And I think that's what's really upsetting for a lot of folks is like, if this is really about, was he a good lawyer or not? I mean, clearly he's not too bad because he's still in a job, but that's not the job he's been hired for. The job he's been hired for is to be AG, the Attorney General,
exactly.
and he's not
By the way,
fulfilling his
of the
responsibilities.
United States, not the Attorney
Yes.
General of Donald Trump.
So it was definitely a Freudian slip when he's like, "So, are you gonna?" I forget how they said it, but it's like, are you Donald Trump's lawyer? He says, "Yes, I am his lawyer." I mean, I'm not his lawyer.
Right, right.
And
I'm
let's say
not
it was,
doing his bidding.
and let's say he innocently said that, right?
Right,
Because, which is another conflict of interest. He was already his personal lawyer when he was fighting all those court cases before he became
exactly.
president again, and
Right,
so that by itself is a disqualification.
right.
That
It
by
should have been
itself.
like why didn't you recuse? I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it's like, aren't you supposed to recuse yourself from a case when you have a conflict and yet you don't? So I mean, there's the lying, there's the ethics, there are all these things in my mind that disqualify him on multiple levels, and that's not to say that a president shouldn't be able to appoint someone for an office, um, in their administration. They should, but we should also have some standards which suggest that. Well, shit, I guess we should because we have a dude who's president who isn't ethical, but having some ability to be ethical and behave ethically and uphold the standards of your profession. I mean, let's think about it. If you and I, as licensed psychologists, behaved in the ways that Todd Blanche has behaved, you know, we would lose our licenses.
Oh
Any
yeah,
other
we would.
lawyer would actually be disbarred
Right.
for the
Well,
stuff that he's doing.
but this is the challenge, brother. The reason why they don't want to lose these elections coming up, that's why Trump is so invested in them never losing any elections, which is kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, I can imagine having a country run by nothing but Democrats or progressives. It just doesn't make
Right,
any sense to me. We're too big for that. Anyhow,
right,
but that one of the reasons, one of the logics they give for not wanting to lose is because they know that Trump would be impeached if they had both houses of the Congress. They know that people will be held accountable, whether it be in the courts or otherwise.
right.
All the things that they're been kind of running over,
Mm-hmm,
systems and processes and checks and
mm-hmm.
balances and a sense of accountability would rise back up.
Back,
Because those people have been sitting in the in the background going, yeah, we can't wait till y'all ass is gone. Because
exactly.
because
Exactly.
the president may never suffer any consequences. Let's just assume that either he's going to
Right.
die and or he's going to be, kind of like what they have done when they did with Nixon. They could have
Right.
prosecuted that dude, but they didn't. They're
Yes.
like, well, it's the
Right.
office. We don't want to do all that.
Right.
So he's
Mm-hmm.
never going to probably experience any
Mm-hmm.
negatives.
Right.
Maybe they'll take some of the money he made back, but he'll still be a
Mm-hmm.
billionaire, more or less,
Right.
right? It's
Mm-hmm.
all the people around him whose asses is going to be just
Fried. Oh, they're gonna get
gonna
it.
tie him up,
That's right.
and
Exactly.
I won't feel bad
Right.
for him.
No, well, 'cause you chose you chose to be in this orbit. You chose to lose whatever moral compass you had, um, to participate,
Mhm.
in this. I mean, a lot of people talk about like, oh, I saw like Cory Booker went on some Lindsey Graham was my friend bullshit. And I'm like, he's a funny guy, whatever. I was like, bro,
I mean, yeah,
I'm
and
like, two things can be true. And let's not over index on the he was a funny guy. I'm like, he created real harm in this country um, by his policies, by his rhetoric. And, you know, we can't stand on that. I mean, I know I'm devolving here, but, Graham Plattner, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago, had to suspend his campaign because of rape allegations.
mhm.
Um, and he should have,
Yeah,
right? I
straight
mean,
up.
that's the right thing. He should have been pushed out, which was what happened. Um, and I give him an ounce of credit. He says he's innocent, so you know, until you are proved guilty, yeah, we're gonna give you credit for that, or But you you had enough of a moral compass to say,
I'm getting out.
I'm getting out.
Yeah, even if he was
You
pushed
guys,
out,
or
he went out.
like black folks say, he actually had some shame in his game.
He need a little bit. Shame isn't all bad.
Right. He had a little bit, he had an ounce of shame in his game. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, you should go and sit down somewhere.
And I
But
think that's the frustration is that I think a lot of the things that people have expected as far as, dignity, shame, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
We don't want to over index on shame, right? But we want just enough to be like, maybe I should sit down. Maybe I should sit this out. Maybe I should
yeah.
let this pass. And, I can
Hmm.
get on the reconciliation train later.
Right,
But until then, I
right,
need to sit down
right,
here. And
right.
I think that's just I think that's one of the things that people are really disappointed with in this. But I'll say this: one of the nice things to watch is that Trump has made enough enemies within his own party, particularly with Cornyn and some other folks in the Republican Party. That Cornyn's like, hold up,
Bump that. Right. He's like,
hold up, and
I have no reason to be loyal to you. You screwed me.
zero. And this is a dignified person. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
a Cornyn fan,
Right.
but in general, he's kind of an old statesman, kind of back to Trump, the
Yeah.
Bush
Oh,
years, Bush
right,
one,
right. He's an
older
old
dude,
Republican. Yeah.
old
Mhm.
Republican, right? And so he's gonna find his way of being like, you don't want to support me? I got
Right.
you.
He getting his shot. He getting his shot. Right. And right. He laying hands. And I'm
He's
like,
like Tyson. He's bobbing and weaving.
he bobbing and weaving, waiting for that shot. He gonna hit him with the right cross. I'm like,
Right cross.
and at some level, I'm like, John Cornyn, I ain't mad at you. I'm like,
I just
you got screwed. I'm like, you choosing not to turn the other cheek.
well, and this is kind of related to the death of Lindsey Graham. I think some people are frustrated by the criticism people are hearing after his death because some people are like, don't speak poorly of the dead. There's that,
Mhm.
right? But there's concern that by talking about him in this way, you're dehumanizing him. And I'm like, I imagine there's some ways that you could dehumanize him that might be, not the right way. But I'm not talking about dehumanizing. I'm just calling out his behavior that was harmful.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
so I can cheer on Cornyn, right, and think, yeah, man, this boy he's about to. But also know that Cornyn's been a jerk.
He's been exactly.
you
I'm like,
know,
you ain't exactly been righteous your damn self. But
right. Here you are, all pissed off because the boy came after you and didn't
right.
support your
Well, you
campaign.
like
So
well
now you want to
him
be out.
right.
Now
Right.
you want to be out
Like
there.
well,
Okay,
right.
but
Like
while you do
girlfriend
it,
like Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's like you still suck. Like, and we're supposed to. And the things that blows my mind. People are acting like we should give her credit for, and Cornyn in this instance, credit for, quote unquote, doing the right things. But the reason that you're doing the right thing is because you're mad because you got screwed by this dude. I'm like, so
which
there's
is
no
how it usually
righteousness in
is.
what you're doing. Right. Exactly. I'm like, you just being petty like he petty. Um, and I'm like, I might celebrate the outcome of you finally telling the truth, but it don't really change how I view you. I'm like,
You gotta
you
tell the
still
truth.
suck.
Yeah,
You still
we gotta
suck.
tell the truth.
You know. Right.
And even back to what's his name, Plattner. You know,
Hmm.
I was, I was bothered by many things that allegations come out about his
Absolutely.
behavior, and he, came out and was like, I'm a different person. I believe he apologized,
He did.
if not to his wife and to other folks,
Hmm.
but what people were saying, well, we knew, and this last allegation, this is reflects his other behavior. I'm like, it probably does if
Probably
it's
does.
true,
Hmm.
but we're talking about the difference between poor behavior and illegal behavior. And we had hoped that he had turned a leaf, that he
Hmm.
acknowledged those behaviors and can
Hmm.
reconcile them and say, hey, I'm not that person anymore.
Right.
Blah
Right.
blah blah.
Right.
But again, it still goes back to a sense of dignity, a sense of accountability, a sense of like some shame.
And
And I feel like a lot of these folks, whether it's MTG or Cornyn, they're
mhm.
coming out not out of shame, but out of I got done wrong by this dude, which is
Right. It's just
predictable.
anger. Yeah. Right. And it is very predictable. And to your point, look, should we have known, about Plattner? I mean, I think you're right. It's like, well, maybe. I mean, I think there are degrees of difference. And but when you get to now a criminal accusation, that's a different level. That's a whole nother ballgame. Um, that like enough's enough. And again, on multiple occasions, the Democrat Party has said we gonna give him a benefit of the doubt, but when it gets to criminal behavior, we have a line. I think those on the right, I'm not sure there's any line. Um,
Where's the
you
line?
know,
I don't see the
yeah,
line.
I don't see it. I mean, the line becomes, I've gotten on Trump's bad side, um, and he
Yeah.
he shat all over me, and so now I'm retaliating. I'm like, there's no more morality whatsoever.
Well, and isn't that the problem? Is that the difference is there's a sense of a common sense of what morality, what the social mores may be. And some would say, hey, this is different than like the 80s and 90s. So even any accusation of poor behavior by a politician, like what was said about Plattner, he would have been out a long time ago.
Yes.
Saying that, but acknowledging we're in a different time today because give Bill Clinton a little credit for that. uh, you know,
What is. It
Right,
depends
but
on
the
what
difference
is.
here is the society's general sense of what is right and wrong, right?
Yeah, that's
Versus
changed.
relying on one person's interpretation of what's right and wrong. A man
Hmm.
who takes no responsibility for any behavior, regardless of what the evidence shows as being morally incorrect or illegal, and saying I'm the victim. They're picking on
Hmm.
me. They made me
Right.
pay $5 million on top of the $83 million that I'm expected to pay this woman who accused
Right.
me of something I had never done. I'm like, nope. They say you're a sexual assault person. I wonder if
Civil case
when he
said,
leaves the White House, is he going to have to register with the with the sex offenders
"Oh, you're
registry?
gonna be a sex." Oh, that's
So
a
he
really
can't
good
live
question.
close to any children,
Right.
or,
Right. Next to a
or
school.
the president
That's
can't live next to a school. That's so
right.
sad.
You're gonna have to move out of Mar-a-Lago. It's too close to the school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have to move to Mar-a-Lago
that's an
Island.
interesting. That's an interesting. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not a legal scholar, so I don't know. Any legal scholars listening, please let us know. Um, my guess would be it's not a because he wasn't convicted of that as a criminal charge.
Exactly. Right. Right. It was
That it's
more like they
civil.
said that.
So
Right. It was a civil
yeah,
case. Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. But still, you're
So
like,
right,
oh my God, that's how
right,
bad this is. This is
right.
really, really bad. Well, hey,
Predatory.
brother, we are
Yeah.
at the end of our time. I appreciate it's good to see that you made it back
Always.
from South Asia. And
Yes.
apparently made many friends while you were there.
I did. I did.
You didn't even know you were
Lots of
friends.
friends.
You didn't even
I
know
didn't
you were
even
friends
know.
at
I was like, I
5:30.
was like, I was like at 5:30 a.m. And I don't. I'm like, I ain't that friendly. Like,
Wait, wait. You
Lord,
probably thought
like
I'll give it 5:30. Ain't nobody gonna be out there.
I did. Honestly,
We
God, I
out here.
did. I was like, it's 5:30 a.m. I'm like, I gotta be good, right? It's gonna be fine. Ain't nobody gonna be on the streets. I was like,
I'm still
why
waking up. I'm
did
still drinking coffee.
right? I'm
Excuse me.
like,
My name is
these
Mud.
folks. Right. They ain't gone to bed. I'm like, by
But
the
you
way,
know what
they
that
weren't the only
tells
ones. I,
me?
I got hit like 3 times, right?
But you know what that tells me? There's someone who's been
Hmm.
there before, who has been ready at 5:30 or whatever. They're
Ready,
there for a reason.
ret, ret to go.
They're like, I am ready. Come on.
Right. 5:30 a.m. is party time. I was like,
You know what? I can't think of many things I'd be ready for at 5:30. I'd be, you know what
not
I'm
a whole
ready for?
lot.
Go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep. Word. That's it. You're like, I'm mad. Look, I'm mad that I'm up. I'm like, why am I up at 5:30?
I have been getting up around 6, 5:30 lately to try to fit all the things I need to do in my day, but it's not for that. I can tell you that.
Sorry.
But hey, it's Riffing While
Hey,
Black.
brother.
My friend Dr. Lawrence James is back in the U.S. on holy ground doing his thing. It's good to see you, my brother.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Well, hopefully we'll see you next week and we'll continue this Riffing While Black conversation. All right,
I look forward to it.
bro.
Peace.